We're going to talk about payments and payments with regard to e-commerce, payments with regard to the customer. Title is Customer is King. Payments are one of the world's biggest industries. It's also a massively overlooked industry. Most people don't really think about payments, apart from those of us that are weird enough to work in this space. It's a bit like water. Payments are a bit like water. When we don't have them, when we can't make a payment, we notice them. And I think that's the kind of the thrust of the conversation we're going to have today. So we've got a great panel with us. And we're going to give a little bit of a perspective on what the marketplace looks like for the paytech industry. What are the opportunities here? How is the ecosystem in the Gulf, the wider MENA region, relative to other markets? What is the value? What is the value to the customer and to consumers? But also, what is the value in terms of the types of businesses that the paytech revolution, if you like, digital commerce is enabling? We've got three great paid tech companies on the panel here with us today. We also have Mastercard. So a great sort of representation of what's happening at the wider level, and then we'll touch a little bit on the future. Particularly as digital ecosystem models, open banking in the region starts to take off. Perhaps we can kick off by, perhaps we'll start with you, Esra. Teller, really, to my mind, one of the first pure fintechs of the region, possibly even before fintech became a thing in MENA. How has the last couple of years been in terms of the opportunity that the pandemic has weirdly created for paytech businesses here? How has that taken off, and what's been the impact of the last couple of years in terms of driving adoption and pulling customers to accept and want to use digital payments?
Of course, pandemic changed the customers' behaviors toward digital. Also, the mindset has changed towards adapting and accepting the cashless payments. Both business and their customers.
The sound is not great, unfortunately.
I'm sorry. Okay. Consumers' mindset has shifted toward this digital after experiencing the convenience and the secure payment methods, a behavior that quickly became the new norm. The increase and the demand on the payment methods, increase the trends, the technology, all that, of course, played a key role, especially after the pandemic. Customers, Middle Eastern consumers, became more sophisticated and expected to receive a seamless online experience that take them in a single end-to-end customer journey, including the buy now, pay later, local and international payment methods, and mobile wallets.
Very good, thank you very much. Perhaps we can also turn to, we've got G-Idea and also Tab, which are both new on the scene. Tell us a little bit about the journey that you've been on since foundation and now over the last couple of years, as payments have really started to take off. Maybe just use the one that's actually working. That is working.
So that's a terrific question. Our journey has been simply fantastic. From the time we started way back in 2008 to where we are today, we have evolved as a company. We have evolved, I would say, faster than the market has. Today we have multiple products. GD has taken a pole position in terms of defining what the customer experience should be, how we are going to service our clients, both on the B2B side and the B2C side, and more importantly, from an omni-channel perspective. Today, it's not just about processing a payment on the POS or on the e-commerce, but it's about what else are you ready to give to the customer, which is going to make his experience richer. In addition to that, how do you make the customer's customer or the consumer at the end, make it convenient for him and easy for him to transact using your solutions? So our journey has all been focused about how do we tailor make some of these solutions, looking at the middleware, putting on more value-added stuff, providing customers with products that they actually need and use, and moreover, customizing the whole experience of the customer in this omni-channel environment. From 2008, we were just a hardware company. Today, we are an aggregator, we are a bill payment processor, we are a payment gateway provider. We got multiple products like QR code, pay by link, and so many other things. And very proud to say we are the first ones as an acquirer, which is launching the electronic cash register, a fully automated solution in the market. And in UAE, Saudi, and Egypt, our solution is tremendous because it integrates the front end with the payments. So what now the merchant has is a fully integrated ecosystem of its entire product requirements. And that, I think, has been phenomenal as to where we were and to where we are today.
Soliman, can I hope you can hear me, can I turn to you? TAP has emerged as a scale business out of Saudi Arabia. We've got a session after this talking about Saudi Arabia, which is, has long been viewed as a kind of golden goose, a sort of potential big market. Tell us a little bit about your perspective on the payments opportunity, Saudi Arabia versus the rest of the region and the wider Middle East. What do you see here now? How exciting a time is it for you in the payment space?
Okay, so in Saudi Arabia, I think the specifically the e-commerce acceptance where TAP is focusing on started back in 2018 when Mada enabled their cards to be processed online and to be accepted through e-commerce transaction. And I remember back in the day where it was kind of a new experience for most of the card holders that a debit card can be used online. I know back then it was inoperating and in existence in other parts of the region, but in Saudi Arabia it was a first introduction of such product. And then we saw the growth of the e-commerce acceptance in 2019 and 20, where we see it doubling year after year. Today, I think we're seeing the transaction growth more than 70% in September versus September last year. We're seeing that in 2022, all of these transactions that was done on e-commerce had a growth more than 100% over last year. We even already surpassed last year's transaction in the region. But to focus specifically on TAB, we started back in 2014, starting from Kuwait, where the e-commerce acceptance and transaction was a bit more mature in the region. And then we grew from there into the other parts of the region. So we moved to Bahrain and Saudi and then UAE, and now we exist in more than 9 countries around the region. We try to focus on having to provide products that focus on the customer, where we try to have one financial relationship, one technology integration, one contractual agreement. So the merchants and the customers that we provide have only one source of interaction, and we become their partner in the payment, and we try to facilitate all of these services that they want, especially in the payment sector for them. We try to be in place of the bank, of the acquirer, of the payer, and to help the merchant grow even further. And this is what we do today in TAB.
Thank you very much. Mo, perhaps we can turn to you. Sorry, it's quite a large panel, so we've got to wait your turn, I'm afraid. Payments in this region it's really taken off, hasn't it? Particularly in the Gulf, Dubai, over the last couple of years. What does that look like for you as MasterCard? Presumably it's become a lot more competitive. There are many more partners to engage with. Presumably there are areas where the likes of TAP, G-Idea, Teller are kind of touching on some of your relationships. Tell us how you're engaging with this sort of new, more competitive world.
Absolutely, thank you. So, historically, everyone looked at MasterCard and perceived us to be a card-type business, only providing card capabilities. The reality of the situation is that we're not just a card company. Yes, it pays the bills and keeps the lights on. But most importantly, from a MasterCard point of view, we repositioned ourselves a few years back as a multi-rail payments business. So when I say multi-rail payments business, we look at providing multiple methods of payment rails. We are partner, or we are trusted partner rather. It's been around for over 50 years. We've built ecosystems, okay, and we've built ecosystems in the form of card payments, remittance payments, account-to-account payments as well. So when we see the likes of Judea, Teller, Tap, we don't see them as competitors. We see them as partners, because we believe that as much as we've partnered with banks for a number of years, we believe that fintechs bring something very unique into the payments ecosystem. They're able to provide reach. They're able to provide new and improved processes and ways of working. But most importantly, they go after a specific consumer base that the banks don't go after, or merchant base, for that example. And they provide a value added service as well. So that's where we see the value, right? And we provide services. So whether you're a fintech in the form of grow, or in the growth phase, whether you're a fintech in the form of a launch phase, or whether you're a fintech in the form of a building phase, we have different tools that can be utilized, that you can embed into your tech stack, and obviously utilize that or resell it, or put it part of your offering to your customers as well as merchants.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's turn to you. As Mashreq, established bank, quite a different mindset to Mastercard, which is really much more a technology company than a financial services company. How complicated, how complex has it become for you to kind of know, who to interact with, how to build these sort of relationships with this sort of emerging fintech payments world?
Thank you for this question, but let me violently disagree with you. We are a technology-driven bank, and NeoPay is a technology company. So a number of people on the stage actually are partners of ours, and I would say we run a very successful model for doing partnerships in the fintech ecosystem, including investing in a number of companies that we've done over the last year or so. That's point number one, right? Point number two, let's talk about what clients want, right? And ultimately, our goal is that we want to be there where the clients are, and we want to solve the problems that clients ask us to solve, right? And I see, when I look at the large clients and the ultra large clients, let's talk about them. There are two types that I would say emerge, right? There is this one type of client which says, I'm overwhelmed by the complexity that I'm seeing in the payments world. I want you to take away that complexity and say, just tell me what I'm going to pay for this, and you figure out how that every payment method that I want is available to you. And then it's my job to make sure that we are plugged into all the relevant ecosystems. We partner with MasterCard, we partner with Visa, we partner with a number of payment gateways and solution providers and fintechs to make sure that we provide that. There is this second type of client, of course, and these clients I would say are few right now, but these are the clients who are very sophisticated and they want to solve everything themselves and they want to optimize the journey themselves. I think there are a few of them, and again, we are happy to partner with them on a need basis. I hate to use the word modular, but take out pieces from our ecosystem and our platform and partner with them.
Okay. I mean, Ezra, would you agree with that? It's very much about understanding the type of customer that you are good for, picking the right kind of customer, because obviously there are a lot of merchants out there. There are more now that the digital economy has taken off. Do you kind of try and say, actually, this is our core market for us, for our service, or do you try and solve as many problems for as many types of customers as you can? What's your view there?
See here, the customers, if we are talking about customers, we are talking about merchants.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when it comes to merchants, of course, they have different needs that you need to build or to do to meet their business needs. And what helped us to cater those requirements is our customizable technology. We are fully proprietary technology, which give us the ability to provide a well-developed, up-to-date, and customizable payment way to meet the needs of those online businesses. So, of course, we have to, if you look into the checkout process should be easy and simple. This is to serve the end users. So, by using well-developed forms such as for Teller, it makes the process more seamless experience and make the payment process look shorter and easy to complete. Of course, the payment methods, as that's mentioned, the payment methods now, it's very important to offer the merchants wide variety in order to serve their end users and meet their requirements and needs. So, in addition to the traditional payment methods now, you need to offer merchants international pay options such as Apple Pay or Union Pay has improved the positive experience. Local payment methods such as MADA in KSA, it have been always the key for growth in many countries, being the preferred payment method by the local community. They are expect to have also latest payment trends such as buy now, pay later. All this you have to work on it in order to deliver to the merchants the best so they can serve the end users.
Well, I think that's a great point at which we can bring in perhaps Amit at LeoPay. You're looking at multiple rails and including now crypto. So how are you kind of winning merchant customers with the solution that you offer?
Thank you for the question. Yes, so yes, in cryptocurrency, of course, when we are trying to onboard customers, specifically on-ramping customers, I've been personally really passionate about bringing in multiple payment rails on our platform, right? And speaking on payment rails, going on card payments as well, we've been trying to accommodate really regional payment rails, for instance, like Pix of Brazil, UPI of India, and so on. So I've been really bullish. We've been really bullish on bringing while we begin our customers, we ensure we adhere to the compliance and so on. But the payment journey of the customers when they are transitioning from fiat to crypto, it is being enabled by banks. It is being enabled by our fintech partners, and we try to give maximum options as possible to those customers based on the regions where they are in. So, this is what we have been envisioning for in this near present that we've been doing.
No, just to sort of touch on that really, the kind of the innovation piece across the region. How supportive are the regulators here to as the digital economy has sort of grown, more and more payments are going cashless. How supportive has the regulation been in enabling you to kind of innovate and work in new ways or look at new channels?
Sure. I got to be very careful how I answer that. No, I mean, to be honest, we're seeing a relaxed regulation framework being approached specifically in the region. I think regulators are starting to come around, and actually, I hope there's no regulators in the room, but without offending any of them.
You don't need to name names. It's okay.
Yeah. No, I think they're seeing the new emergence of fintech players coming about. They're seeing that within other regions, the value that these fintechs add and the reach from a consumer perspective that they can bring. And so we're seeing this really relaxed regulation take place, which is allowing ecosystems to come in. Just in the UAE, for example, the ability to obviously allow fintechs to register specifically to issue, card payments, is a game changer. It's a game changer, because what now a fintech can come in and provide an end-to-end solution. So I know we spoke about the fact that we're a multi-rail business, but I think a card is still the main method of a consumer utilization that takes place today. So what a fintech can do now is they can provide a regulatory solution, a card processing solution, a BIN sponsor solution, provide the end-to-end capability so that any downstream fintech or telco or retailer that wants to issue a card goes to a one-stop shop. And that giving so much of ease towards the fintechs, but most importantly, allows a fintech partner downstream to go to market much more quicker, which is obviously what you want. You know, fintechs spend a lot of time and effort in seed funding, in building their business. And now, when it comes to commercialization, there's a lot of regulatory hurdles which come their way. But by enabling these partners, what happens is these partners, who I like to refer to as fintech enablers, they provide a holistic solution for the downstream fintech or startup to go to market much more quicker.
Thank you very much for that. I've just wondered, do we have any questions from the audience about any of the issues we've been raising so far? If you do, please raise your hand. We can come back to you in a second. Now, interestingly, wasn't my choice, I have to say. The panel is called Customer is King. You know, for a long time, you know, in the payments world, we talked about women actually being the biggest users of electronic payments in the broadest sense, not just digital. You know, we here today, all of us have been talking about customers as merchants, customers possibly as banks. You know, the B2B side of the thing, of the marketplace. But in reality, increasingly, with so much more competition, we should really be talking to the actual end user, the businesses that need the businesses that are paying, the consumers that are using our products. I wonder, among you, are you starting to think, how best to communicate directly to the end user? Sultan, is that something that Suleiman, is it something you're thinking about?
Yeah. So with Tab, I think we try to, as I said earlier, that we position ourselves between the payer, the merchant, and the bank or the acquirer. So we try to facilitate the relationship between the three parties that goes into the payment cycle, let's say. And through that, we do offer our services to be the front end that deals with the merchant to facilitate their services, the payment services, whether it was related to payment processing, fraud monitoring, chargebacks, etc., or disputes. And for the customer, we also try to facilitate for them the experience that they go through into the payment. So today we do provide more than, I think, 15 payment methods, whether it was card-based or alternative payment methods, BNPLs, wallet-based, etc. We also work alongside banks and acquirers so that we work with them to provide the acquiring service to the merchants. So we partner with them. So we do the acceptance facilitation on their behalf directly with the merchant. And being in the center, we see all of the experiences that in every interaction for all of these three, let's say, parties. And from there, we try to improve our processes, our services, our customer experience, our operations, so that the experience becomes smooth for all of them, whether it was in terms of payment or in terms of inquiries or in terms of onboarding. And hopefully soon we're going to have our automated onboarding lifecycle going live, so we can ease up all of the onboarding processes for our merchants. Today we serve different variety of merchants, whether it was SMEs, enterprises, multinationals, even tech startups and fintech startups. So all of these kind of segments have their own type, have their own behavior. So we need specific dedicated team who understand what they want from the payment life cycle. And this is what we are trying to do today.
And at G Idea, is that a sort of similar approach? Are you also thinking actually we need to be, we need to educate our actual customer as to how to communicate with the end user, and do you think sort of actively within the company about communicating with the purchaser, the person that's making the payment?
Absolutely. Our world revolves around the customer. And they are the world to us. One of the things that we do on top of this is we are in constant dialogue with our merchants. We are talking to them, we are learning from them, and we are constantly taking feedback as to what else do they want, what else do their consumers want, what do they want to see, what are the changes that they want to see in the ecosystem, what kind of products are going to make their lives much better, what are some of the things that they expect us to do. And we are actively participating in that process. That participation, that working with the merchant, working and making the lives of the consumer better is what has got us here. Today, just if I were to say, the largest acquirers and banks in Saudi work with GDR, right? Almost 14 of them. Some of the largest banks in the MENA region work with us. There's some of the largest banks in Egypt which work with us. For me, the message that I am getting is that these banks and these institutions have confidence in us that we can deliver the products that their customers want, right? And we are continuously working in designing and redesigning our offering so that at the end of the day, when the customer goes either in front of his laptop or his mobile phone or a POS terminal, what he gets is a seamless experience. Now, one of the things that I want to say is that we often talk about seamless experiences. Now, seamless card acceptance is a baseline. The question is, what else are we going to do above that? And that is where the GDR's focus is. Like I said early on, we just launched our GDR POS business, which is a fantastic addition to some of the things that we are doing, because now it gives an integrated solution and an integrated experience both for the consumer and the merchant. And that, in my mind, is a game changer. Now, there are a lot of other products as well, which do this and bring that kind of experience to the consumer or the end user. And honestly, if I start talking about it, we'll be here for a long time.
We don't have that much time. So.
But to answer your question, our entire focus is on the merchant, more importantly on the consumer. What is he going to do? How is he going to feel? What is his experience going to be? How fast is he going to get what he really wants? And at the end of the day, how does that translate into more profits for our merchants?
Yeah. So I want to turn a little bit because, to be honest, we don't have a lot of merchants in the room. This is the merchant conference, but this is a fintech and innovation and financial services conference. As I say, we've got here a very interesting selection of pay tech, fintech companies that have become scale businesses. Teller's been around, as we said, quite a long time, and you've scaled, and you're in multiple markets in the region. You're looking at new parts of the MENA region. What's been the success in terms of how have you scaled the operation? How have you won new customers? How have you helped to kind of grow your marketplace and build the business? What's been the trick as a sort of operational head of the company?
As I mentioned, the business needs and the trends are changing constantly, which in turn calls out for customization, localization, and personalization in providing the service. Over the past years, we have launched several services in order to cater our merchants' needs. So, and these were actually in cooperation or collaboration with other fintechs in the market, such as Teller Finance in collaboration with Lendo. It gives our merchants an opportunity for an easy access loans up to $100,000. Also, other was the Teller Buy Now Pay Later in collaboration with Tabi, which have given Teller merchants an age to increase their sales and build customer loyalty. Another was our very own online business facilitation service, Teller Shop. It facilitates the creation of online store in 5 minutes with shipment and payment integration, and it's very good option for the merchants who are new to the online businesses. Also, we launched our Teller Payment Links application in order to our merchants who would like to sell their products or service online, where in the application they can create seamless, an infinite number of payments. They can send it to their customers, so they can accept payments seamlessly everywhere. All these innovations helped our merchants to increase their sales, maximize their revenues, build the customer loyalty, or increase the customer retention, which eventually lead to a higher conversion rates.
And what are you telling them about the impact? What are the kind of numbers that you're telling telling customers about the impact that your service offers?
Of course, as يعني I joined Teller in 2015. I was very lucky to be from the first few team members that joined Tellers. So I take the responsibility of tackling and shaping the operation, setting all the processes. So I witnessed Teller in 2015, early 2015. We were actually maybe onboarding 20 application, 25, working with one bank. And now we are, processing 100 plus maybe applications. We have many banks here in UAE, up to maybe 3 or 4 banks. In KSA, we are now 8 banks. So of course, I witnessed the growth since 2015. And what really impressive is the change of the customers and the merchant behaviors all over the years, up to now after the pandemic, of course, which triggered an acceleration of digital adoption.
Perhaps we can turn then to you guys as sort of the incumbents, if you like. What do you see as the kind of the market for paytech innovation here? I mean, obviously, from one side there's competition, but also your large listed companies presumably looking at the landscape as sort of opportunities for acquisitions. What kind of innovations are you seeing out there that are bubbling up across the region that are interesting for you? What are you looking for in terms of fintech innovation in the future? One and then the other.
Sure.
No. I want both. You start, and then Mo can take over.
Let me go first then. So we're looking for very niche. A lot of fintechs that we talk to, right? They're very smart people who figured out a very cool solution for a real world problem, right? And they could be niche, right? So, for example, pay at table is an idea, I think, for which the time has come. And we not only partnered with a pay at table company, we ended up liking them so much we invested in them, right? Buy now, pay later is, I think, part of a integrated payments platform. You can't have it without that, because that's what the client is asking for, right? And you can see that there's a 30% jump in checkout, quantum every time you add BNPL to that. So merchants want it. We made sure that we not only partnered with a BNPL player, we invested in them, right? I look at capabilities like optimization. So there are fintechs which are optimizing flows depending on where the card is from, and revenue management on that. We are partnering with fintechs which do that, right? I think there's a whole lot of people who are doing some very, very cool stuff. And I would say, probably partner with more than 30 such companies in this region. And that's, I would say, one of the secret sauce that we have, why we are doubling every 2 years in size for a business which is 100 billion dirhams of processed volume. I would say it's one of the few like that you will see in this region.
What's your
Mic drop. Yeah, there we go. So I think just to take a step back, if we focus on the consumer, okay, I mean, all of us in this room are consumers. And let's be honest, we don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, today I need to make a payment. That's the last thing you say. I mean, you obviously have a desire to purchase a specific good or item, or good or service rather, that you need. And so what we try to look at is we try to create a user experience that is convenient, a user experience that is secure, and a user experience that makes a consumer always feel in control. So whether it's the physical space, which today I obviously do so well, because as a consumer, I can simply just tap and make a payment. In the online space, it's also about trying to provide convenience as well. And therefore, as MasterCard, we have solutions like Click to Pay, which provide that capability where it's a seamless checkout experience, which has the functionality of convenience as well as security, most importantly. Moving to your question in terms of, what do we see? I think my esteemed panelist answered it really well. Buy now, pay later is obviously growing massively within this region, and we're seeing a lot of fintechs come up with that. Crypto is something that's really growing due to the favorable regulatory frameworks that have been put in place. And embedded finance, I think, is the third one, where you're creating an ecosystem, or you're creating a product or solution that has payments that is incidental. It's a ubiquitous payment experience for consumers when they make their purchases. And going back to, and just to tie it back, it has that the embedded finance piece has that element of convenience as well as security.
Are you actively looking for innovations in this region at the moment? I mean, are you looking for new partners or new sort of potential companies?
Every day. So I can't tell you. I mean, there's over 700 fintechs within the region. It's massive. And every day, each and every single fintech have a unique proposition. And as MasterCard, you can't back all of them, although we'd love to back every single one of them. But we have online tools available, like I mentioned earlier, where whatever fintech you are at, whatever stage of your business you're at, we have solutions for you, where you simply go online on our developers portal and you're able to simply through an API get access to those capabilities.
Amit, perhaps we can come to you, and then let's. We've got an incredibly full room, so hopefully I'm sure there's a question out there. Just to reflect on what Mo was saying there, and early this morning we were talking to a number of fintechs on stage here. Their focus was, their take on innovation was, we've got to keep innovating, we've got to keep evolving, keep moving forward. Obviously, albeit at the pace of the customer or the end user. What does the next phase of the scale journey for your business look like, and especially given this sort of emerging crypto blockchain environment here in the Gulf?
Sure. So I would like to cover more on the pain points and solutions. Specifically, we are speaking about merchants specifically. So independent of what my organization has been doing, I would like to share some insights on what we, not necessarily we, the greater audience can benefit as well. So number one is for merchants, we need to distinguish between users, merchants, and consumers. Number one is that when we are approaching solution for merchants, I'm coming from a financial inclusion background where the merchants are the enablers for us to the last mile and the urban mile. For the merchants, it's always been that, okay, we've got a product, we've got a lot of features in it and so on. But the thing is that for the end, we introduce tech solutions, highly. So for the end customers, they would be highly adaptable for changing their payment mechanisms for the personal purchase, for the point of sale, and so on. However, when it comes to merchants, merchants are highly sensitive on one fact, being that we have had a traditional mechanism of bookkeeping and accounting on keeping custody of finances and so on. The solution that you're giving, yes, it would benefit us in X number of ways. You having X number of features in that, but how is it going to blend in with my method of business? End of the day, if you're giving a solution to me, I have to perform a certain level of business process restructuring to amend with your solution. Now the sensitive part comes here. I'll just speak on 2 points. This is point number one. Is that fair enough? You got a great solution, and I've understood your use case, and we could deploy our entire business to be centered around that solution. But what happens when the solutions at the MVP stage go on past the beta stage in the early days of it and could break apart? Do we have a countermeasure, or do we have a countermeasure version of it? Countermeasure version of it, that means, can the business continue to perform a little bit offline and get back to square one? Will it bring issues on reconciliation? So number one case is where as fintechs or any method of payment rails powered by banks, powered by cryptocurrencies, we need to be very sensitive towards our when whoever is the messenger of our platform to the end users or to the merchants, they have to communicate the information that how does our product, the user flow of it blends with the business flow of the merchant. That's number one. Without the user flow, you could have a lot of resources deployed as feet on field in the market, but it would not lead to traction. It could lead a lot of it. You could have a lot of negative statistics coming up, such as resource burnout, cost per customer acquisition, and so on. User flow, number one, to market to the merchants. Number two is how do we distinguish between users, merchants, and institutions? Sometimes we speak about institutions as merchants as well. End users, like I said, they are very flexible. The institutions, they are concerned about the technology, they're concerned about the features that are loaded in it. It may take some time for closure, but they would like to get onboarded in it eventually. The merchants are sensitive on the fact that how does this? We get it. It's a great product. If you're a great company. It's big. It's big. It's got great features. You've got a friendly team and so on interacting with me. But how does it help? How does it enhance my experience to the end users? My concern is not the solution doesn't have to be built for me. The solution has to be built for the end users. So while I deploy my organization on your platform,
If you just keep it sort of the next close this for the next 30 seconds. We do want to go to the floor, and then we must move on to the next session, I'm afraid.
Yeah, sure. So, I'll just end my point here saying that the merchant is more sensitive towards how would he or she add value to the end customers as well as the suppliers when they are getting onboarded on their fintech platform. That's the avenue for innovation we need to work on.
Okay, thank you, Raj. Do we have one or two questions? Yes, let's just quickly come to the floor.
Yeah, thank you. You talked a lot about a seamless and convenient customer experience, but could you please share an example of beautiful user and customer experience that inspire you personally or you as a product? And a little rule, you can't name your product.
Thank you for that. Yeah, maybe we can go to you, Suleiman. Maybe you can take
All right.
that one.
So one of the examples that we do today in TAP that, as I said earlier, we have one relationship with the merchant. So in terms of the experience, the merchant is our customer. So if we facilitate one contractual agreement or relationship with that incorporates a single technical integration that enables for them more than 10 payment methods instantly, with no need to have a relationship with the financial institution, because we will do the part of the settlement, the facilitation of the payment, that would consider to improve the experience of that customer as a merchant in accepting e-commerce transaction.
Do we have any other comments or questions? We'll just take one more. Yep, we have one here. Oh, okay. Sorry, he's closer.
Yeah, in terms of technology and customer experience, so one end we have a technology, another hand a merchant would like to have a nice merchant experience, customer experience. How would you like to reconcile both these parts? Because technology is always a challenging part to provide the customer experience on the other side. So how you would like to see this reconciliation between two parts together? Ailesh, maybe you can answer.
Sure. I think they both go hand in hand. Technology will always be a challenge because the market is evolving, the technology is evolving, things are moving at a very rapid pace, right? On the other hand, the customer always wants more. He'll never be satisfied with what you give him today. Now, both have to keep pace, but both have to keep pace at a realistic level, right? What the technology can deliver and how fast you can deploy it and take it to the consumer is where the balance is. But my view, to be honest, is that they cannot be independent of each other. At the end of the day, what the consumer wants is what you have to sell, and technology has to deliver it. Or the other way around, what technology develops, which may be something that the consumer doesn't see today, but there may be a need tomorrow. So I think they play a very pivotal role in both growth and evolution of the ecosystem.
Very good. I'm afraid we must leave it there. Please thank my esteemed panelists.
Thank you so much to the panelists, and also thank you, the audience, for your engagement. I'm sure all of you will be available if you have any questions. We're now going to transition to our last panel of the day. And while you take some photos, I'll introduce the next panel. So the liberalization of Saudi Arabia's economy is definitely creating exciting opportunities, with not least all the conversations on today's stage have proven. Now, to conclude day 2 of the FinTech stage, we're going to have a panel on and explore on how Saudi Arabia is using FinTech